Hey everyone, welcome back to Real Teacher Talk. I'm super excited to have one of my teaching friends and role models way back in the day when I started out in like the TPT world. Katie Knight, she's absolutely amazing. She's from Teacher to the Core. She's a first grade classroom teacher. She's been teaching, and I didn't know this, Katie, for over 20 years. We were just talking, you still look like you're 25. So how is that possible?
Thank you, friend.
She's absolutely amazing, though. She loves to share her plans, her ideas. She's absolutely positive, but really, really honest. Wouldn't you say, Katie, like not into sugarcoating, but
Yeah,
like
I
in a
don't have time
fun
to
way?
sugarcoat,
No,
but I
no, no,
try to make it
no.
funny. I try.
You are amazing. She actually brought me into the presenter world. And if you haven't had a chance to see Katie present, she's the best. You walk away with so many great actionable ideas, but also you do it in a way where it's where it's not condescending. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean though?
Because we're in the trenches together. It's not like I'm speaking to you on high like some sort of angel. No, I'm in the trenches with you.
Yeah, so Katie is still in the classroom. Are you first grade this year?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, welcome. This is her second podcast, so we are very excited to have you. But do you want to tell us real quick a little bit about you and what you've been up to?
Well, you kind of covered it all already, except for the fact that I am married and a mom,
Yep.
which means I wear a lot of different hats. And just like so many of your listeners, it's like, okay, I'm in mom mode right now. I'm in school mode. You kind of have to switch back and forth, back and forth. But I do really try to create a life that I love and then
Mhm.
love the life that I'm creating. Like, God, that sounds like a Hallmark card or like a stupid
One of
meme,
or one of those signs to put above your dining
right?
room
Like,
table.
like
But
where
it's
you have a
true
print,
though.
but it's true. Like,
Mhm.
even when everything at home isn't great and everything in your classroom isn't great, like your life isn't perfect. It doesn't match what you see on Instagram or Pinterest, or you definitely think there's room for improvement. You can still love it. You can still really enjoy kind of the process that you're in. So yeah, that is a little bit about me. I'm happily married. I have a teenager, and that's weird to
I
have a
can't believe it.
teenager.
Yeah.
Like when I started this whole thing, he was like 3 years
He
old, and I
was.
was,
Uh-huh.
like painting trucks on the wall of his bedroom. And now he's like, Mom, don't go up to my bedroom. And I'm like, dude, I'm just bringing up your laundry that I lovingly washed for you. You're welcome.
Right.
I got to go up and do like a sanitation, health and wellness, like I got to be up there as a social worker going, this is a hazmat zone. Somebody's got to go up there once in a while.
So you're saying right now I'm in like the struggle phase a bit of like toddlerhood and 10-month old. And I'm like, can you guys just get off me for a moment so I can breathe? So I need to remember that because it's not always gonna be. It's not
Yeah,
always
the
gonna be like that.
teenagers are a lot like toddlerhood. It's still a lot of work. You're
Uh-huh.
still not exactly sure what they're saying because they kind of speak a different language. And then you like, I don't know. I don't know. I think a teenager is like a toddler cat. They only want attention when they want it. And if you reach for them and they don't want to be petted, they're gonna swatch you off. They're gonna hiss. It's rough. So
Toddler cat.
yeah, they're just like toddler cats, and it's rough, man. You ever try to hold a cat that doesn't want to be held? They get scratched up.
I still have scars from my cat when I was like 12. So yeah, I totally.
There you go. Welcome to parenting as a
Oh my
teenager.
gosh.
Not parenting as a teenager. God, that would be terrible. But parenting a teenager.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're just giving me lots of hope right now, Katie, as I'm
Sorry.
like,
I mean, it's
I'm
wonderful.
drowning.
It's wonderful.
Well, kind of speaking on that today, we're not going to talk about what you normally talk about, when you present your PD, like all your great writing strategies and ways to keep students engaged and all that. We're actually talking more of like a real topic that so many teachers are facing right now is starting out the school year and maybe not really looking forward to it if you're listening right now or you're just struggling because you're still feeling like you're recovering from last year and you're like, I finally have my head above water, kind of. So that's what we're going to talk about. Some things that maybe you can do to where you aren't in survival mode, where you can actually thrive, right?
Absolutely. I'm so glad we're having this conversation. And you know what's funny, Kristen, is I think I got into presenting talking about literacy, and I still
Mhm.
talk about literacy a lot because it's my passion. But I started talking about classroom management, and then I started talking about how classroom management isn't just for the kids, it's for your own survival, it's for the own sanity of your classroom. And I started presenting sessions called Happy and Organized and Thriving, not just surviving. And I have to tell you, those ballrooms are packed. I'll have 300 people in a session on literacy, and I'll have 500 people on a session on surviving and thriving, because teaching has always been hard,
Mhm.
always. But teaching now is a whole other level of hard. So I think the conversation that we're going to have today is just, it's going to resonate because, wow, even if you are excited to go back, there's that COVID surge is happening and you think, oh my gosh, are we gonna go back with masks? There's just a lot of fears. There's a lot of
Mhm.
feelings actually involved with back to school after what we've been through the last couple of years. So I'm thrilled to have this conversation.
So when you say teaching now, you mean teaching, I don't even know for post-COVID, as my husband's isolated in my office right now
Oh,
with it.
wow.
But do you mean like teaching during a pandemic
Yeah,
and after?
yeah. I
This is perfect.
really
Mhm.
and truly, like, I don't think teaching is the same as it was 3 years ago. I also don't think teaching is the same as it was 10 years ago
Oh, yeah.
before social media became such a thing.
Mhm.
And
I
it's been a
noticed that.
blessing and it's
Yeah.
been an added weight,
No, I
I
noticed
think.
that. I talked to my husband about it. My last year in the classroom was teaching second grade, and I noticed such a big change from when I began teaching, like in 2005, because that was the first year. My students have had essentially some sort of device, iPad, whatever, since they were babies. And you totally see the effect that it has. And
Absolutely.
I have strong opinions about, my babies and if they're allowed to, Liv doesn't even know how to use a phone. That's my preference. But yeah, it's
Mhm.
so much changes. And what's going to happen in 5 years? What's it going to look like? There's
I don't know. There was a real moment of it could be amazing or not. I
yeah.
don't know. But you know what? I'm in this for another good 15 years. And
Hmm.
so I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to, whatever it becomes 5 years from now, I'm going to adapt as much as I can adapt. And I'm going to hold true to myself and who I am and what I know students need just as much as I adapt, because I think that's what good teachers do.
Hmm. How do you say that and commit to that with the last couple of years that you've had? How do you keep going when you're tired and maybe frustrated and overwhelmed?
I think one of the best things that I do is when there's a new, I'm going to use the word demand with air quotes. So you guys got to imagine the air quotes. When there's a new demand placed on me, I do not see it as a given that I'm going to do it. Which some people, and I'm a people pleaser. So that's almost a joke that a people pleaser would be like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. But because I am a people pleaser and because I am sort of a perfectionist,
And aren't
I
most
have to
teachers?
be, I think so. I
Yeah.
do. I think most teachers, well, we thrive in the teaching environment, but I feel like it was powerful for me in a real grown up adult moment to be like, just because somebody asks me to do something doesn't mean I have to say yes. And it
Hmm.
doesn't mean I have to say yes to the perfect idea that I have in my mind, right? Or the perfect idea that they have in their mind. So I think that if we think about distance learning, right? When distance learning came out, I didn't even know what a Google Classroom was. I mean,
Really?
I did, I did. There were those teachers at my school that were like, "Oh, you should do Google Classroom." And I'm like, "Why? First graders need a pencil in
They
their
do.
hand. Like they
Hmm.
hardly know their alphabet sometimes. So I don't want them to spend 10 minutes finding the letter K on their keyboard. I want them to be able to write the letter K or know what the letter K says, right?"
Uh-huh.
So for me, I just felt like, okay, first grade, I don't know. And again, when Google Classroom started, there wasn't all the neat boom cards and all of that stuff that made it so tiny kid friendly.
Hmm.
But even when our district was like, well, you're going home for, 2 weeks. Remember when we thought it was 2 weeks? We were going to flatten the curve. Do you remember that? And I was like, can I send materials home with my kids? Can I send supplies? Nope, don't send anything. It's just going to be 2 weeks. And then we did not even return to campus for a full year after that.
So
And our
wild.
district has really done a lot of really good things, but there was a lot of just figure it out, figure it out, figure it out, but be amazing, but figure it out, but be amazing. And so I had to really sit with, okay, this is a new demand placed on me. It's a new demand placed on my home. It's a new demand placed on everything in my life. And so I had to decide, how much was I really going to give? You know, was I going to die on this battlefield trying?
Hmm.
Or was I going to set some limits? And so I really had to set some limits, because like you can go down a rabbit hole
Oh
on
yeah.
things. And
Hmm.
so it was like for 1 week, my husband's a teacher too. For
Hmm.
1 week, we basically sat at our computers from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. We had food delivered to us from Uber Eats like we were royalty. And we just like sat with it. We watched all of the YouTube things. We learned how to do it. We loaded things to our Google Classrooms. And then after that week, we gave ourselves 1 week to just be ridiculous. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. like that. Wow. But after that week, it was like, no more, no more. It was almost like, so I use the term revenge self-care, because that's what it feels like to me when I'm actually setting a limit and setting a boundary. Is it almost feels hostile, because
Isn't
I
it
am a people
wild?
pleaser. It
But
is
I
wild.
mean, that's just, we talk a lot about this in our program, Easy Organization Tools, where
Yes, you
teachers are
do.
like, it's so uncomfortable to set boundaries. And I think
Mhm.
in education space, especially, there's all of those unexpected, not unexpected, what would the word be? Unspoken like rules and
It's
things
for the
that,
kids.
oh yeah, if
I
you
know
really
this
love
is
them.
hard, but wow, your students are so lucky that you have like developed a nervous tick and are having anxiety. They're so lucky to have you, because you're willing to do that for them. Like that's really how we're treated.
It's
Oh,
so
you're losing all your
toxic.
hair. You're such a
Uh-huh.
good teacher.
Or you've seen,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, like you've gained 500 pounds. That's unfortunate, but you know what? Your kids really appreciate that you haven't taken care of yourself. You've taken care of them. Like that's not
Hmm.
good. It's not good.
No,
So,
it's
yeah,
not.
I did kind of develop a sense of, and I do call it revenge self care, because that's what it feels like to me. I'm not
Yeah.
actually having revenge on anyone. It's not me against the district. It's not me
Uh-huh.
against the demands, but I call it that because it almost helps me to reconcile with the fact that this is going to feel weird, and
Hmm.
it's okay that it feels weird. I'm going to do it.
And reconcile is probably the guilt, right? That's popping
Yes.
up totally.
Yep. And it's the shoulds and the
Hmm.
coulds that kill me, and then I am kind of a creative person. So it's like, well, that could be kind of fun to turn my whole life over and learn to teach in a new way. I'm kind of in. And then it's like, okay, no, you're gonna lose your mind, and you have to have some balance, and you can't afford to have 3 meals a day delivered from Uber. So you have to also grocery shop, you know,
What would you
balance.
say, dealing with that? What, or teachers right now who are listening are like, I can totally relate. What are some of the strategies you mentioned, like boundaries and setting limits, that you use to stay kind of level-headed, in a stressful situation or when the job just seems too hard?
So, when I am feeling stressed or pressured, um, first of all, I try to identify where the call is coming from. Like you're just like, oh my gosh, there's this happening and there's this happening and there's this happening. I try to figure out, is that an outside pressure coming at me, or is that an inside pressure coming
Mm,
at me? So, a lot of times it's like, in the horror movies where like the person is like the victim is that they're getting these scary phone calls or whatever, and they're like, the call is coming from inside the house, right? Because the murderer is with them, and the
mhm.
movie's about to get really intense and it's really scary. Well, I try to figure out, where is this pressure coming from? A lot of times it's coming from myself.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
So again, it's just the way I'm built. But if I can identify that I am the one who's applying so much pressure, then I can say, okay, so crazy, settle down now. Actually, I talk to myself very gently, but I go, okay, now. So a lot of this pressure is actually coming from me. So let me take 10 deep breaths. And I do a lot of breathing
Hmm.
only because it's very helpful to just breathe in for 4 seconds, and then I hold my breath for 4 seconds, and then I breathe out for 4 seconds. I hold my breath for 4 seconds, and then I don't know. I think that's it. I breathe out and hold my breath, and then I breathe in again. Oh yeah, breathing in is really important. But my therapist talked to me about four square breathing and how it really just kind of resets your system. And I have to sit there and count, which
Hmm.
means that my mind stops thinking about all of the things it's thinking about. So that's important to me, is just identifying where is the pressure coming from. When it's myself, then I can reconcile. Okay, so I had this idea in mind. Now that idea is making me feel crazy, or that idea is making me feel like I can't possibly be that good teacher and good mom. This is affecting my family life, or it's affecting my own sanity. So I'm going to let go. So that's what I do if the call's coming from inside the house. If the call's coming from outside, it's my district, it's my admin, it's ridiculous timelines. It's this new assessment program that's going to take 37 one-on-one minutes per child.
Which
And
one
they
is that?
haven't
Just
gotten me a sub.
curious.
Well, it's something new called FastBridge.
I haven't heard of that
And
one.
it's it's like 40 minutes of one-on-one assessments per kid, and it happens at the beginning of every trimester, I'm sure, to inform your instruction. Not like my instruction's not already informed by everything I'm doing with the kids all day long. I don't need to inform my instruction. And you want to be informed, come on into my classroom. But anyway, um, things that I can't necessarily change,
Hmm.
those are moments where I either need to find my voice and say, you know what, this isn't good for kids, this isn't good for teachers. Or I need to find my voice and say something along the lines of, I love that new assessment. Wow, you have me ask the kids some really good questions. I did this with about 5 kids. This is how long it takes. This is the amount of instruction time I've lost. That doesn't fit in with the assessment window you've given me. So I'm going to go ahead and get you those results either little by little, or they're going to come in a little bit late. Thanks. Bye.
What
Love
would you say
you.
though to a new teacher who maybe is not tenured?
So a new teacher who is not tenured is going to really honestly lean into their team.
Mm.
Hopefully, you have a team you can trust. Hopefully, you have mentors on your team who can guide you without making that like whole condescension, like, you know, upper and lower feeling that you can sometimes get from someone who's been teaching longer than you. But if you lean into your team and your team is like, no, this is doable. Like here's what you're going to do. You're going to put on a movie, and you're not going to tell anybody, but you're going to put on a
Totally.
movie. Or you're going to take the kids out for PE, and then you're going to take them out for PE every day. They're going to run the track, they're going to play on the structure or whatever, and you're going to test one kid every day during PE. So when you
Hmm.
lean into your team, sometimes they can give you really good ideas. And also, if you lean into your team, sometimes you can create a collective voice that then can respond to your admin. And as a new teacher, you let that seasoned teacher who has tenure go in there and have the meeting with the admin, because that teacher who has tenure and some years under their belt also has a thicker skin.
Hmm.
A thicker skin of the union surrounding them, a thicker skin of they've already had these uncomfortable conversations before. And they also have the protection of tenure. So, until you have your tenure, join the collective voice of your team. That would be my very best advice.
And I love that it's solution oriented, though. It's not just like this venting session and then everyone's angry and nothing happens.
Yes. Yes. I have a wonderful team, probably the nicest people ever. I think actually everyone on the team has had really bad teaching experiences with other really mean teachers.
Yep.
Like, I feel like we've all kind of
We've
been
all, uh-huh.
brutalized. Uh-huh. So
Uh-huh.
everyone on the team is like This needs to be a safe place and we need to be solution oriented. And if we get upset with each other, like, let's handle it because we got to keep this good. And truly everyone's focus is on not just let's keep this good, but let's keep this safe, because I'm telling you, new teachers, I'm telling you, seasoned teachers, lean in, because some of the teachers you've encountered have been incredibly hideous to you, and you've been wounded and hurt by them. And that's real. You weren't weak. You aren't soft. You don't necessarily need to develop a thicker skin, although it helps. They hurt your heart and they were mean to you. And that was sad. And if you're in an environment where you're not safe and you can't leave your school, like you've tried, but you can't leave, then you need to do your best to insulate yourself, participate, do the PLCs, do the teacher meetings, but don't try to be friends with people who are not safe. Don't do it. And it's interesting because the people who aren't safe, they kind of create this clique, this vibe at your school where it feels like it's a sorority you want to be involved in. And I heard, like, if you're religious, this story makes sense to you, but stop trying so hard to sit at a table that Jesus would have flipped. Because, you know, Jesus goes into the temple and starts flipping over the tables of the people selling things in the temple because they're not supposed to do that. So that's like the story is you're trying to sit so hard, or you're trying to work so hard to fit in with these mean girls because you want them to leave you alone, or you do want to feel accepted by them. But then really, if you are in their company, you are not going to be uplifted. You are not going to be encouraged. You're either going to join in and become a mean girl yourself, or they're going to waste your time, because those mean girls are not amazing teachers. They might have some pretty bulletin boards. They're not amazing teachers because they don't have the heart for it. So just if you have been hurt, I get it. I get it. Get out if you can. Protect yourself in your heart if you can't get out, because it's really hard. So I do have a good team and we are solution oriented. Like, we talk for a minute about, okay, these are the challenges. We call them challenges, so it's not venting. And we literally Post-its. Like, okay, everybody, like, on one side of the Post-it, what are your 3 top challenges? And then on the other side of the Post-it, like, write 2 ideas that could, maybe would work. And then we do Post-its. So like, you go around and you're like, boom, 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 let's talk through the challenges. But like, we have a couple people on our team that like use a lot of words. I use a lot of words. I use a lot of words, but I try really hard not to in meetings, because like, it's just too much. So it's like, okay, stick to the Post-it, move it along, but yeah. So
your team
that was a
sounds
long
amazing.
story.
No, I love that. I think that's really, really helpful. We've never done anything like that. And I taught for 13 years. So I would love to be on your team.
Oh my gosh, I would die to have you on my team. It would be amazing.
What would you say, because you are so busy, as so many teachers listening are, what's your schedule, or how do you balance doing it all? As a mom, a wife, a teacher, friends, your church, all the things.
Okay, it's such a good question. And there's nothing easy about it. It's like, I tend to hyper focus. And so when I am momming hard. And when I am teaching hard. And so what I try to do is I just set time limits on things. So your amazing program, your curriculum on getting out of school, you say by 3:00, but whatever your contract hour
time
is, your contract time is so powerful. Anybody on this podcast that is not already part of this, you need to join in, because the ideas that Kristen shares, they help you use your time so effectively that I don't know. I can't say enough good things about your program. It's truly amazing.
Have you been going through some of the modules?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. I love your modules.
I love
and like,
that.
I hate email. Like, I just oh my gosh, I hate email. So like, the email module is so helpful. Like, yes.
Aw,
Join
thanks.
Christian and Kristen's program. So listen, that's my main thing, is I set time limits on things, and legitimately I use a timer like my phone is the boss of me. So, and I do it in my classroom too. Like, I set timers on guided reading, because if I get going on guided reading, like, I'll just be there all day. It's so fun, or whatever. So I set timers, because not everything is actually worth the time we give it, which is sort of a different thought to think about. Like, I'm going to set a timer on this because there are other things in my life. So as you might know, I'm a TPT author as well. So I'm not just like creating, things to use in my classroom, but I'm also like creating what I use in my classroom, but then I provide other options for teachers that might teach differently than me. Maybe they have students that I have a lot of language learners, but maybe they have students that are much higher than mine. So then I'm spending time differentiating all of the literacy curriculum I write. I usually write any one passage for 3 levels.
Your
So,
resources are amazing,
oh
by the way. Like, you could just see how much love that you put into them. So I can't imagine how much time it takes you, because mine are much simpler.
well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. It does take a lot of time. And so what I have to do is I have to set a timer. And
Mhm.
I actually learned a really good lesson from Charles Schultz. He was the cartoonist for Peanuts,
Snoopy.
for
Yeah.
Snoopy, right? And so he went to work every day for a specific amount of time. And in that time frame, if he got a whole comic strip done, he was happy. But in that time frame, if he only had an idea for that comic strip, he was happy. He went in and he just stayed within the time. And so last night I was working on a product, and of course the printer wasn't working, and then I had run out of the construction paper and I had to go to the garage to get more. Like, can you believe I had to go to the garage? I was so annoyed. But I was really I had that moment, excuse me, of feeling like I was spinning. I felt that moment. And you know what? The call was coming from inside the house. I was
Yep. I was
doing
gonna
this to
say,
myself, right?
Mhm.
And again, I think I've mentioned therapy a couple of times in
Yep.
here.
Mhm.
Powerful,
Mhm.
powerful, powerful, powerful. And I'm going to go back to that in just a second, but I'm going to finish what I was saying. So I was feeling kind of spinny, like I was starting to get mad at the printer, this inanimate object that ruins my life on a daily basis. And I was running out of paper and things weren't going well. And I was like, God, why is this so hard? You know what? I didn't set a timer and I was
Mhm.
past my time. I
Yep.
was
Oh,
past my
that's
time. I know I wanted to work for an hour and I was like on 2.5 hours, and I was starting to feel ticked. Like, I was
yep.
starting to feel annoyed. I was like, this is my summer and my printer's not working and I'm about to go back to school. And why am I doing this to myself? And it was like, okay, did you feel this way an hour ago or an hour and a half ago when you should have stopped?
Mhm.
So that's one of the powerful things that I do is I just set a timer for myself so that I don't let things get too big. I don't let things get too crazy. And I don't let even my best ideas ruin my peace of mind, ruin my family time. I just really set that limit using a timer. And it's been a game changer. I'm like, the timer goes off and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of in the middle of something. So you know what? I'll give this 3 more minutes. And I literally reset the timer again for 3 more minutes.
Mhm.
And then when it goes off again and I'm like, oh, I'm still kind of in the middle of it. It's like, well, what other thing was I planning to do? Oh, I was planning to go play a board game with my teenager who mentioned he'd like to play a board game. And teenagers are like cats. If they show up and want to sit on your lap, you say yes. My teenager's going to sit on my lap. But do you know what I mean? Like, if he's like, hey, mom, let's play a board game later, it's like, yes. And if later has arrived and I'm kind of in the middle of something, that's how the timer helps me.
No, we talk about this all the time in the 3 p.m. teacher inside easy organization tools. And I put on my slides, like, respect the timer. Like, when it goes off and you're not done, you're going to want to stay. As teachers, we're like, no, but my to-do list isn't done, but our to-do
It's
list is
never
never
done.
done. Yeah.
Never.
Jinx. So I said, you just have to get used to being uncomfortable, maybe in that moment of like leaving when it goes off. The world's not going to fall apart. I mean, these days, maybe, but like, it's going to be okay. And then go
Okay.
back to your life.
I have the best idea that I have
Yeah.
to share. It's
Yes.
like, it's amazing. I would like, when I thought of it, I was like, shut up. It's like, what? There was that moment. You ever have a moment where you're like, I am so smart. And then I'm so stupid at the same time. Right. Okay. So I think most people know I've given up my teacher desk as a teacher desk. So
Hmm.
I use my teacher desk as like a launch pad for my day. I have my curriculum all laid out across the top of my teacher desk. If you head to my blog, I actually did like a little video and there's like a classroom walkthrough and it explains how I use my teacher desk. So you could like type in teacher desk in my blog. I think it'll come up. But I talked about how using your teacher desk to really help you get through the day, not as just a drop zone. Well, here's the deal. I created sort of a drop zone in my classroom where I come in and I drop off all the junk they put in my box. I drop off all of the fundraiser stuff. I just have a spot. It's actually in a drawer where I put things. And I try to keep the drawer organized, but I don't ever try to have the drawer empty because it's never empty. Your to-do list is never going to be done. You know what? Let's be honest. Teachers, on your last day of school, wasn't your to-do list still full? Like your students are gone and your to-do list, there's still things you didn't do, like, whatever it was. But on that last day of school, when your to-do list wasn't done, the kids are gone. Like it's over. The school year is over. And so what did you do with your to-do list? Like you threw it away and everybody was still okay. Even though you didn't get done whatever it is, that thing you wanted to do, providing your report cards are done. I don't know. I say you can leave for summer. So just the notion of I have this drawer now, it's kind of a big drawer. It's actually meant for posters. So in this poster drawer is just all of these little baskets where I literally, it's like the top of a teacher desk, but I just throw things like inbox, whatever. It also works if you buy one of those little Sterilite drawers where it has like, there's a couple of drawers that stack on top of each other and you can put one like to do, ASAP, and then to do maybe someday, never day. Master copies, like you see them on Instagram where
We have that in module 1.
Yep.
So your
I
place
know
has
you
a-
do actually,
so
the
there's a
Sterilite
home
drawers.
for
Yep,
everything.
a home for everything. But your goal at the end of the day is not to have that spot empty. Your goal at the end of the day is to have done a good job teaching. I feel like leave yourself in a good position for the next day. And then your goal is to get home and live the rest of your life. I really wish if I were to go back in time, I think I would name my blog. I love my blog, Teacher to the Core. It's my store name. It's everything because I am a teacher to the core. That's who I am. I'm a teacher to the core, not the Common Core. Nothing wrong with the Common Core, but teacher to the core, like the core of my heart. But I think I would go back and name my blog More Than a Teacher. Because I would talk about teaching things, but I think I would spend a lot of time legit talking about you are more than a teacher. So you have to leave yourself the space, the energy, and the time to be all of the other things that you are.
It's so true because teaching can be so all consuming. And I talk about this too, like next thing you know, like you're just a teacher. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but we forget about all the other, hold on one second. Oh my goodness.
And you're
So
back.
sorry. I'm solo parenting.
Well, you are not just
You.
using teaching tools. You are a mom.
There's there's just more to it. And I feel like sometimes as teachers, we forget all the things that we also need to sustain a happy life, as far as like family time and your health and not being so stressed and getting to
Yes.
read and all that stuff. Like you can have that summer part of you that's, really fun and carefree and doing all the things. You can bring that into your everyday teacher life if we start putting
Absolutely.
ourselves and our families as the priority, and then teaching is further down the line.
Absolutely. Or even if it's not necessarily further down the line, it's not what you're thinking about right now. So I try really hard. It's a little trickier because I do have a teacher business that involves teaching that I do at home. Obviously, I never do anything like my teacher business during school hours. But so when I get home, it's not necessarily as clear cut. But that's where my timer comes in. And when my timer goes off, I am no longer working on Teacher to the Core. I am not teacher to the core. Now I'm Jackson's mom and Justin's wife and a smattering of people's good friend. And I am other things. And so teaching is not necessarily less important, but in that moment, it's not my focus. Whereas, you know, like my friends are not my focus during the school day. During the school day, I am both 100% teacher and also 100% still like wife and mom. If there was an emergency and my son needed me, I would be like, the kids are like watching a movie, they're silent reading. You got to come now because I got to go.
Yeah.
But when I'm teaching, I'm teaching. And when I'm disengaged, I try not to even let my mind go back to it. And that's really hard for me because I start, you know, dreaming and wondering and like, oh, I could do this, I could do it this. And during the summer, I was like, I will not think about that. I will not do that. This is a time to recharge and to just take a deep breath and really be focused on other things.
So what's your plan going back? This will be my last one because I know we've been chatting a while, but what's your plan then to go back to keep like summer Katie throughout the school year?
So yeah, summer Katie is awesome.
So Joe used to say, Kristen, summer
Kristen is amazing. Yeah, we, my husband and I took a trip to Paris. And it's our 20th year anniversary, you know, like it was a major, wonderful trip this summer. And we were walking around Paris and we were just like, wow, you know, the Paris nights are really relaxed. That's our last name, Night. And, you know, I love Paris, Justin. What do you think about Paris, Katie? You know? And so we even talked about how do we bring Paris home? And so it's kind of the same. How do we take our summer peace of mind and our summer lightness into our school year? How do we bring Paris or Europe back home into our normal lives? And I think it takes some intention.
Oh, yeah.
I think it takes that, okay, what do I love about summer? You know, oh, I love how much free time I have. Well, you know what? After the school day ends, the whole rest of my day, unless I'm supposed to be taking my kiddo to an athletic practice or whatever, the whole rest of my day actually is free time. I mean, it's just a matter of how I'm going to spend it and kind of choosing my attitude. Am I going to make dinner or am I going to make dinner? Am I going to, I have to go grocery shopping? Or am I going to grocery shop at Target where I can also get a Starbucks because mama needs a boost, right? So sometimes it's just kind of a matter of choosing your attitude in the moment.
So looking at it as instead of I have to, because this is not natural for me, to I get to.
Yes. And you know what? Sometimes you're like, oh, I get to change a dirty diaper. You know what? That's not real. That is not real. So if you're saying things to yourself like, you know what, I get to be here in this beautiful moment of dirty diapers and whatever, and it doesn't feel legit, then stop saying that to yourself. Maybe be like, you know what, I get to have this time with my baby while it's a dirty diaper. I can like lovingly have this moment with my kiddo before they up and run off and do something, create some other mess to clean up. I have this moment. Like, how can I make this moment great? Maybe it's applying a clothespin to your nose and just getting through it. But like when we were talking about Paris Katie and Paris Justin, you know, it was like, he was like, well, I love that perfume that you tried on, you know, in the store. So I bought this little bottle of Parisian perfume and I put it on every morning and he goes, oh, Paris. It was an intentional moment. It was something we decided to do. I was like, oh, I'll get this Paris perfume. I mean, I have other perfumes I like, but this is Paris perfume. So how can we apply that to our classrooms? I think the idea of deciding that when you walk out the door, almost having I don't want to use the word routine because it sounds kind of weird, but well, this is going to sound weirder, like a ritual. But when I walk out my door, I do three things. First of all, I check the weight of my teacher bag that I'm bringing home. Like I carry a small teacher bag because I don't want to be like one of those women that has like 16 bags. So I check the weight of my bag and I look inside And this is what I do when I'm standing at my door. Sometimes when I'm sitting at my desk. And if I have more than one stack of papers in there to grade, I take it out and I put it back on my desk. Because I'm only willing, if I'm going to do grading at home, to grade one assignment. One.
That's smart.
So I feel the weight of the bag. And I think about what I actually have to do tonight. And if I know that, you know what, there's actually no space in my real life for this classroom, sometimes I legit drop my teacher bag before I even walk out the door. I just leave it in the classroom. Like, you know what?
I just left it anyways. Yeah, I just stopped bringing it home.
Right.
I didn't need the pressure.
No, like, okay, I'm not gonna have time to grade these papers. I'm getting to Bible study tonight. I still haven't done my Bible study, so I got to go home and do that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or like, I have to grocery shop this, and that. I was like, I'm not even bringing this bag home.
Because that goes back to putting the extra pressure on yourself that doesn't need to be there. Like the rules we create that really don't matter except to us.
You are so right, Kristen. My principal didn't tell me I have to grade papers at home. You know, he already left. I'm not the last car in the parking lot by any means. But, you know, I'm like, dude, his car's already gone. Why am I still here? So I check the weight of my teacher bag. And I really decide, do I even have time for this? Do I even want to give it the time? Right? So sometimes I just leave the bag inside. So that's part of my ritual. And then I walk out the door, making sure I haven't left my keys behind. And then I shut my door with purpose. And I literally I kind of place my hand on the door for a second and I say goodbye. This is so I sound so weird. Oh my gosh, people, I'm not odd, but you know what? Maybe I am. And this works for me, but I just put my hand on the door and I just take a deep breath and I just say goodbye. See you tomorrow. And more often than not, I actually don't tend to bring grading home, but if I bring grading home, I kind of say, I'm going to grade those papers and I'm going to be done. So if I'm not saying goodbye to the classroom for the day, I kind of say, I'm going to grade these papers and then I'm going to be done. So that moment when I have my hand on the door and I'm locking it, I am truly walking away with purpose. I'm either going to give this another hour to grade the papers or I'm done for the day. And as I move toward the car, I realize that I'm moving into the other real important part of my life.
Life. Yeah.
And it's so weird to have that ritual, but
it seems like it helps you with
does.
that what's the word? I can't think of the word. The transition from teacher to mom, wife.
Yep. I do the same thing when I come in the morning. I come in, I shut the door. I don't tend to leave my door open because sometimes an open door leads to time wasters.
Yep.
So I come in, I shut my door, and before I turn the lights on, I just kind of take a couple deep breaths in the room. And then I turn the lights on when I'm ready. And it's 10 seconds, but it's a choice I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm in my space again. Okay, whatever happened this morning, gosh, I spilled my coffee on the way to work. It's fine. Everything's fine. And here I am. I'm ready. I'm going to turn the lights on. And then I leave my desk ready for the next day. So I'm not usually running around getting ready. But once I'm in the right mindset, then I decide if I want to leave my door open or not, if I want to, invite friends in to talk with them at the beginning of the school day, or if I have to get a couple of things done, like maybe grading the papers I didn't want to grade at home. So those are the two rituals that I have to starting and ending a school day. And both of the rituals really are taking charge of how I'm going to feel and what I'm going to do. How am I going to enter and exit this place that is both magical and maniacal?
I love you. Totally. Right? I love that though, because those are actionable things that teachers can do to really try to be intentional with separating their time and their energy, which it's not natural. It's not going to happen. Otherwise, you're still going to be thinking about school at all hours. Okay. So in that way, I love that you're able to shut it off.
And I wanted to share one other tip.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I talk about in my revenge self-care section is social media. So I did something kind of new with social media because I found that when I'm on my homepage, I'm just seeing a lot of classroom ideas. And those classroom ideas give me a lot of feeling. People either inspire me or sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, like she's doing another classroom transformation. Like I should be doing more classroom transformations. When I
The
start to feel
pressure.
stressed, right? When really the reality is she's showing me different pictures of the classroom transformation she did 10 years ago. And she hasn't done that classroom transformation for 10 years, if she's being honest. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. But which is why I don't post a whole bunch on my social medias, because, like sometimes there's nothing new to share, right? Like I'm very real, very transparent on my pages. And if I don't have anything new to say, I don't say it. But I will say this, on Instagram, I've been hitting the explore page a little bit harder. So if I get on Instagram because I just want to, be entertained or whatever, I'll go on the explore page and I'll type out something I want to see, kind of like how we used to use Pinterest. Remember, we'd go on Pinterest and we'd be like, I want to redo my bathroom. So you would type in, whatever, and you would just spool around on Pinterest and you'd see lots of beautiful ideas. But on Pinterest, you were only seeing the ideas you were searching for. Whereas on Instagram, you're only seeing what Instagram wants to show you. You're kind of in that moment, just sort of a barrage of images. So one of my tips would be that if you want to get on social media, and of course you're following your favorite teacher people, you're following Kristen, you're following me, Teacher to the Core, at Teacher to the Core, Katie Knight. But in that moment, you might be being hit with teaching ideas and you're not in teaching mode, or you need to stay out of teaching mode. So I like the explore page on Instagram because I can type in, funny dogs, and it'll just plain show me reel after reel of people who have a happy dog. I'm just a happy dog. You know what? That's what I want to see at 8:30 at night. At 8:30 at night, when I'm trying to like unwind from the world, I want to see a happy dog, right? And so that is something that I share in my Thriving, Not Just Surviving session, is if there's people who make you feel less than, unfollow them. If you always leave somebody's page going, I feel icky for whatever reason, then unfollow and truly hit up that explore page and let Instagram be a little bit more like Pinterest was, and tell it what you want to see. If you want to see
we're
cats,
all going to go do that tonight. Like as soon as we're done listening, we're all going to go type in happy dogs. And I want to see the song that you just sang.
Yes. And it's going to make you happy. And if you want to type in, murder podcasts, let Instagram Reels show you all the new murder podcasts you can be interested in, or beautiful houses, or type in moms that are better than me, like whatever you want to see, type it in on the explore page. And then Instagram will start showing you more of those things. And then if you want to see a classroom idea, get specific on the explore page. Show me a classroom idea for helping quiet a noisy class. Show me a classroom management. Get on the explore page and find out what's out there. But be intentional about it.
That's great advice. I love that. Well, Katie, thank you so much for being here and chatting and giving teachers some inspiration and some hope, and be able to share your story and see if you've been doing this for over 20 years. They can do it too.
Well, and Kristen, I hope they come back for our August 13th event, or if this is happening after August 13th, then you're going to edit this out.
Katie is one of our speakers. Katie's speaking. We have Shannon Cunningham, when we all used to speak together for SDE. Dr. Christine Lee is going to be there talking about procrastination. I will be there. And then we have Mr. G. Mr. D. Mr. D.
Because he's the OG, man. That's why you said Mr. G. He's the OG.
He's so good.
Speaking truth about teaching and making you laugh.
Yeah, Joe Dombrowski. Refresh and Recharge. It's our first live event we've ever done, live/virtual event. Really to pump you up and to help you go from like dread to really being inspired and recharged and even excited, can we say?
Yes, we can say excited. And like, that's what I'm going to talk about in my session with you, is how to be happy and organized all school year long. And we keep using the word actionable, because you don't just need pie in the sky ideas. You need ideas where you can immediately go, I can use that. I can take action. And my session, Happy and Organized, has 10 actionable ideas that really are going to increase your happiness, increase your satisfaction, and help you be organized so that you can be more than a teacher. You can be all the other parts of your life. You have time for that. And when
Yeah.
you are being that teacher, that you are in an amazing environment, that you are happy in, the kids are happy in, and no one is losing their mind. Most importantly, the teacher. So I just seriously, podcast listeners, I don't know what you guys call yourselves. Are you podcasters? What I don't know. This is only my second time, so I'm still very much on a podcast honeymoon here, and things might not be going well. I'm sorry.
You're doing great.
Thank you. Does anybody remember like their first times doing things and you're like, oh my gosh, like, am I doing good?
Totally.
But come to that event because I can't wait. I can't wait to present these ideas to you, and I can't wait to hear what the other presenters have to say, because the teaching job is hard. But
Mhm.
if we can do some really, I don't want to say simple tweaks, because actually nothing is simple about time management. Nothing is simple about classroom management. But well, easy teaching tools.
It
If
can be
we
though.
can
I would
take, yes,
disagree.
well, that's true. I just, when somebody tells you, oh, it's easy, I go, well, I'll be the judge of that. Right? Like,
Yeah.
because I can
Yeah.
complicate anything. But yeah, just to take these easy teaching tools, these easy moments or mind shifts or whatever that can really change the trajectory of your classroom year, that is
Mhm.
what you're going to get on August 13th.
Oh, you are the best. Where can they find you if they can't wait until then? We'll link everything to connect with Katie in the show notes down below. But well, tell
I'm
us.
everywhere. I'm everywhere except TikTok, except maybe that's tomorrow. So maybe I'll be on TikTok. You'll probably find me Teacher to the Core on TikTok, but I'm Teacher to the Core everywhere. So if you want to look on Pinterest, that's where you'll find me, Teacher to the Core. I'm on Pinterest. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I'm on my blog. My blog has got a lot of good information, really and truly. Like if you are like, oh man, I'm struggling, I probably wrote about it. I did. So that's a really great resource. And most importantly, I'm in DMs. So some people are on Instagram, but they're actually not available to their
To the
followers or
people.
whatever,
Yeah.
to the people, right? I'm very accessible. So I'm constantly checking the DM requests, because if we haven't spoken to each other before, it goes into like a separate file. So I'm always checking my requests and I'm answering questions in DMs. More often than not, I respond in voice message because it's easier than
I
typing.
do the same.
So
Yep.
I'm in your DMs. I'm in your DMs on Facebook. I'm in your DMs on Instagram. And I just feel like I spend a good amount of time that I'm really happy about spending talking with people on Instagram and like, hey, Katie, what do you do for this? Believe me, I have been where you are and I have a couple of ideas. So you can find
Aw.
me in your DMs.
You are the best. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. I know all of the listeners appreciate it. We will see you guys at Refresh and Recharge on August
Woohoo!
13th. It's going to be super fun. Katie, thanks again. Really, truly.
Oh, it has been so fun to be here. And I hope you have the best day with your beautiful family and take good care of Joe.
We will. He's isolated and we maybe go get some fresh air, me and the kids. And on the hard moments, I just keep telling myself, what's the lesson learned from this? And I'm really grateful that I get to be here with my two babies.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, everyone else, you guys go take some time for yourself today, whether it's some fresh air, read a book, something just for you that brings you. Check your feet in just a moment. Well, I forgot where I was at. Let's
Okay,
go.
so you were about to say, for everybody else,
Yes.
take
All
that
right. We'll
time to
start
read
that
your
over.
book. Yeah.
So everyone else, make sure, like always, go do something for yourself, just for you, whether it's some fresh air, read a book, watch your favorite Bravo show, whatever it may be. You deserve it. You work really hard, and we will see you next week.